So with Cincinnati underway, we had some big withdrawals over the last 24 hours, mainly because last week's Canada event was so taxing on some of these players, and some of the players that did really well last week didn't feel the need to play this week. So let's go have a look at the updated withdrawal list as the tournament's underway. So on the men's side of things, there's a massive withdrawal list, with Berrettini pulling out, Brooksby also not playing, Bublik, he's also not playing, Cerundolo, Dimitrov, Jera also not playing, of course Novak Djokovic, he's pulled out, Draper's also pulled out, Arthur Fils pulled out once the draw came out, which is a little bit of a shame to see that because he's obviously been injured for a long time, or at least on and off for the last 6 months or so. Ellis has pulled out, Hurkacz, Korda, Kyrgios all pulling out. Monfils also pulled out after the draw came out, and O'Connell also withdrawing. So, interesting to see there that, a lot of players not being able to play this tournament and so close to the US Open. It's going to be interesting how many of these players do actually play the US Open in a couple weeks' time. Over on the women's side of things, it's also got some big names that have pulled out in recent time. Andreescu, she's unfortunately had to pull out. Same with Andreeva, both suffering injuries in Canada. Avanesian's pulled out. Badosa's also pulled out, and she's also pulled out of the US Open. Boison's pulled out. Buzkova's pulled out. Eala, Jabeur, Kvitova also pulling out. Zheng, of course, is not going to be playing the US Open as well. She's pulled out. But last week's Canadian finalists, or Canadian Open finalists, we had Mboko. She's pulled out this week. And also Osaka. So they're probably just doing it more out of keeping healthy, because last week, of course, they played so well, and they really need to play well this week because they probably will be seeded at the US Open. So a little bit of a shame there that we don't get to see Mboko and Osaka backing up what they did last week, but better to be safe ahead of a Grand Slam. So there it is, massive withdrawal list ahead of the US Open. It's very concerning, and there's a lot of players on that list that are definitely going to be a concern going to the US Open. I'm sure that even though the US Open list hasn't really been updated with the withdrawals, a lot of those names are going to be on that list because, of course, it's the final Grand Slam of the year. It's been such a long season. Let me know in the comments below, who are you going to miss the most out of this week's Cincinnati tournament? I kind of wish we could see Mboko, but I get why she's not playing. It's totally understandable, but would have been great to see her play again and keep that form going on, but better to keep the form and not get injured. She had a wrist issue, so hopefully that can get sorted for the US Open. But there it is. That's the updated withdrawal list. Cincinnati, it's already underway.